안녕하세요. My name is that. Hello, besties. Welcome back. There are things that I personally applied and I've been doing for quite a while that has been very helpful for me, especially as a language learner, a content creator, a student, a daughter, a sister. On days that I have low energy, I don't force myself to actually do anything serious. I just tell myself that, you know what? Let's just study for 2 minutes or maybe even 5 minutes. And one thing I've come to realize is that when you tell your brain you're not going to study for an hour and it's just 2 minutes, your brain feels like, oh, 2 minutes is actually not that long. Before you know, when you start studying, initially there is this resistance. Then after a while, you actually enjoy the process. Starting is actually the hardest part, not necessarily finish. Once you win this video, I almost procrastinated. Lighting wasn't perfect and I felt I should postpone the date. Then I realized that throughout this week, the weather hasn't been great. I've been postponing filming this video for almost 3 days now. Instead of doing full task, I love to do bits. Read maybe a page. One lesson I'm going to study twice. Finish the first half of the lesson and then the second half of the lesson another time. That way, when you come back, it's not like I started from the beginning again. Just feel like, oh, let me just catch up. I work based on my energy. When I am very stressed, for example, after filming this video, as an introvert, I would actually get tired and stressed. So today, I'm not going to focus on grammar. Definitely not. I might focus on listening, which is what I love to do whenever I want to do chores and all. Because I don't have to actively sit down to learn. While you're going to school, you can always listen. Maybe taking a bus, you can always do memorize or Anki or Quizlet lessons to improve your vocabulary. I realized that I'm actually a morning person, meaning I love to read academic stuff in the morning. So I decided that why not fix about 30 minutes to an hour, depending on what exactly is going to happen that day. There's a test that day. There is no Korean, because I'm not going to sit down here and tell you, oh, I study Korean when I have tests or exams. No, I don't, because my academics is my priority. However, on days where maybe I have like a month or months before my exam, I actually do invest time in taking Korean. So before doing my academic work, which is something I know that I have to, I love to do Korean first, and that's because the academic work is definitely going to stress me out already. So if I should do the academic work first, I would actually get tired. And usually I love to learn grammar or vocab or reading. But for listening or speaking, I can actually do that in the evening, because most people that most people practice with would not be online very early in the morning, but they will be available on weekends in the evening. Writing, you can always write at any time. I love to write in the evening because then I have something to say about my day. High energy days are days that I do tasks that are quite demanding. For example, grammar, learning vocabulary, reading folk tales. Also, I love to do one priority per day. I love to learn at least grammar 3 to 5 times a week. Then listening, speaking, and the other skill can always come in as supplements. And I don't like to spend more than 2 hours. Yes, and I learn 1 hour in the morning, then 1 hour in between the day when I'm going for classes, or when the lecturer says, oh, there's no more class and it gets cancelled. Instead of me having to think of what exactly do I want to do, I just take memorize, which is what I love to use. Or you can use Anki or Quizlet if that works for you, and then answer questions, listen to podcasts, even watch a YouTube video, something entertaining. As far as you are immersing yourself in the culture. When I was a beginner, even till this day, one thing that actually helps me is actually using sticky notes. There are words that even when I use memorize, it doesn't stick. So what do? I stick it to things that I will see regularly. I actually can't stick it to this side because I know I'll be filming there. I know social media makes you look like, oh, you have to study for 10 hours every day. But honestly, sometimes the things that actually matter are the tiny habits and things that you do behind closed doors that no one actually sees. Taking off the pressure from yourself that you don't have to understand everything that you are learning. Yes, there are some points that you grab, there are some points that you would not grab, which is fine, but you don't have to necessarily understand everything. Learn, you can come back again or switch to something else. This is not to say that, oh, you should not invest time and not try to understand what you're learning, but if you're not assimilating You can always switch your study method or your study environment. Some days I still struggle with motivation, and to be honest, I feel like motivation is not something to rely on. It's never something to rely on. Motivation is fleeting, it comes and goes. And especially as a beginner, motivation is always high. Like you're seeing the word of what you're learning and everything. You know how to say an younger self, you know how to say your name, you know how to say I'm from Nigeria, Nigerian around here. I won't beat myself up as much as I used to. I would beat myself up and be like, oh, I should have studied for as long as 4 hours. Because when I first started, I would study for that 4 hours. One, because I had a lot of time. Two, because the thing that I was learning were quite simple. It was self-introduction, it was numbers. It felt easy. Compared to now that I'm learning idiomatic expressions, it would be unreasonable for me to sit down and actually learn 4 grammar points. You know, it's really weird that I probably don't understand this grammar point, and I probably would have to come back again and revise those grammar points. So why waste my time? I'm not going to do that to myself. It's more about using the time that you have to actually achieve what is actually you want to do. For example, someone who learns Korean, French, Hindi, my goal for these languages aren't the same. So I'm not going to be putting in 10 hours a week into French, knowing that my goal is just to be conversational and just to be able to speak to native speakers and, just be able to buy things. The same for Hindi, but for Korean, I really want to be very good. I want to be able to speak in Korean, present my ideas. I want to be able to express myself in my field of study in Korean. I do the most, right? But for Hindi, I literally do like the bare minimum, like, I must stay at here, figure out what I want to study a day before. If you are using in Korean or study Korean, the very structured study desk should be like neat, honestly. Besides this that is behind me, I literally have the books I want to study in it. If I want to study my academic books, it's going to be on this side, Korean books on this side. Once I'm done with it, I return it back because I feel like once my table feels crowded, I mentally feel like I shouldn't even study. I mentally feel tired because I feel like, oh, I have to clean the table, I have to arrange the table. You don't have to necessarily sit down and listen to a podcast. You can always choose to maybe listen to watch a YouTube video. I love to watch Koreans living in Korea, non-Koreans living in Korea, especially when they speak Korean. Visualize myself going to Korea one day and eating this amazing food. By the way, I love good food. Please, good food. It's also important to focus on small progress rather than feeling like, oh, I have to achieve this huge goal. When you make progress every day, it doesn't feel like it's something visible. When you look at it in hindsight, you actually realize that you have a lot of progress, especially when you document things. You document the things you write, the journal entries, meet people in the language that you're learning. You don't actually carry your textbook. You have to remember what it is in your head. And I once went for an event and I genuinely thought that I knew what I needed to say. And when I met Koreans, everything left my brain. My brain unboard me. Not because I actually forgot, but because one, I was nervous. I thought, oh, there were some grammar structure that I thought I knew until I was with someone and I realized that, oh, I probably don't know this thing. If I get your schedule, you know that you have a class that is starting by 12 p.m. Between 7 and maybe 11 to actually study as much as you want to, or read or revise for the lecture that you are going for if you are a university student. But if you are still in secondary school or maybe in high school, figure out the time that actually works for you, the time that fits your life. Or understand how well you learn. Are you a visual learner? Are you an auditory learner? I think that I'm a visual and auditory learner. Not every day would feel like study. There are days where I can just be passive with your learning. You can just be like, okay, fine. I'm just going to watch K-drama, listen to K-pop. That being said, we've come to the end of this video. I hope that this video helped you. If you have any questions, kindly mention them down below. I would love to answer your question. Like, share, and subscribe. Remember, guys.